My name is First Officer Tanisha Wallace. I'm with Delta Airlines. I have been flying for 21 years. Matter of fact, I got started in this program with Shades of Blue when I was 15 years old. I just so happened to be related to the CEO of this program. So this program was a little bit successful because here I am. And just like most kids, I sat in the audience looking like whatever, everything's coming in one ear and out the other. And I'm like, I'm just gonna do this. I don't know what I'm gonna do in life anyway. But coming to the program, I was able to go out on my very first flight lesson. Like I mentioned, I was 15 years old, okay? I went out, got introduced to a pilot. He flew like a tail dragger. It was like a two-wing airplane with a tail, tandem. One pilot up front, one pilot in the back. And then I got in the back, and then we went down the runway, and then we took off, and I was like, oh my God. I can't believe I'm actually doing this. You know, so having that very first flight going up was an experience. So then I got on thinking, I was like, well, Uncle Will would be talking to me about, you know, going all over the country. And I remember him talking to me at my grandparents' house, and he goes, what do you see yourself doing in the next 10 years? Traveling? You guys ever thought about going places, seeing things? I was like, yes, I would love to do that. He said, well, why don't you get paid to do it? That thought in my head clicked on me. I was like, I love to travel, and I would love to get paid, so that's a win-win for me. So I asked him, I said, why don't, I can do that, why not be a flight attendant? You know what he told me? He said, why be in the back when you could be a front running stuff? Right? That was my goal to pursue and keep going forward. Now, I was in high school at the time. I had went ahead and finished high school. I ended up graduating high school. I was in Southern California. Went to college, Mount San Antonio College, which was the highest regional college out there in California. Started my flight training, and then just as I was just about to get my private license, I ran out of money. Learn how to get your pilot license and try to get into this career. So I had to think outside the box, because he told me I could be a pilot. So I'm looking at him, you gonna help me pay for this flight lesson? He goes, well, if you get it and you work hard for it, you appreciate it more, so we'll find a way. So needless to say, he didn't help me out. So with that, I had a dilemma. I didn't know how I was gonna pay for flight training. I didn't know how I was gonna do this stuff. So I decided to go into the military. And I went into the Army in hopes of flying in the military, but that never happened for me. So you know what I did? I just used the military as a stepping stone for them to pay for it. So I didn't have to come out of pocket. So if you ever think about something and you get into a dilemma, you have lemons, you better make some squeeze out of it. Okay, so when I went into the military, I kind of thought that my dream was over of being a pilot. But I continued on, and I actually was coming home from my duty assignment one day, and I seen this little tiny plane flying over right into a small airport. And I said, I'm gonna follow that little airplane, where'd it go? So I ended up following it, he landed, and then there so happened to be a flight school there. And I, you know, went and talked to the director of the program, and the rest was history for me while I was still in the military. So using the military funds to pay for my flight training, I got out of the military and was able to, you know, pursue my career going forward. Now I got my private pilot license. I was 25 years old. Now I started at 15. It took me 10 years. And you can imagine getting discouraged after 10 years, but I didn't let that discourage me. I ended up going from the regional airlines to doing corporate, flying something like that business jet. So I remember asking some of you guys know what that jet is? I know if you guys remember it, you don't remember, but that is a business jet, and one of these days, maybe some of you guys will be a CEO of that business jet, and looking for somebody like me to go fly it for you. But overall, I got all my flight hours, and then I worked my way up to where I'm at now here at Delta Airlines, flying the Airbus 320. Now, a typical day for me, or a typical trip, I usually fly like a 3-4 day trip where my plane has about 200 passengers and I'm carrying almost 2,000 passengers a trip. We pick up, I fly out of Atlanta, normally go to the New York area or down to Florida area, and then I work my way down all the way to the West Coast, where I usually hang out in Las Vegas. That's my trips. I have been doing a lot of Caribbean flights, going down to Montego Bay, the Bahamas. We just came in from Santiago, which is the Dominican Republic. Flew up to Canada. So I'm more domestic. I'm working my way to go international. Okay, and I've been enjoying it every bit. So I hope my story, is encouraging for you guys to at least want to be a pilot or have some type of dream in being in the aviation industry. I'm gonna pass the mic because I can talk today.
Hey, that's a tough story to follow, and a truly inspirational story about Tanisha standing in front of us today. So I've got a different accent, so if you don't understand what I'm saying, please put your hand up and say, hey, you with a funny accent, say it again. But like Tanisha, I've got a kind of different story about how I got here, and I'm not recommending that you move to Scotland to start flying. Don't do that. But I moved from Scotland to come here to fly, and I think that's one of the greatest stories about aviation, is that it's not localized to where you are today. It's a truly global passion, industry, and you can go wherever you want to go. I truly believe that there are opportunities where you can go. So how did I get into this, and why am I here today? Well, I'm a captain at United Airlines. I'm based in Washington, D.C. And it's our responsibility to try and encourage as many people as we can on a daily basis to feel the same passion that I know the four of us up here, and certainly everyone who's supporting today, feels about flying. And mine starts every day as I'm walking out the house, because I cannot help myself but look up into the sky. And I know that sounds cliche, but if you guys find yourself just wondering and feeling curious, that's where mine started. And I was very fortunate enough to be able to pursue that. I'm here for another two reasons. One, I love helping people. Two, I'm a girl dad, so I want to encourage my two girls, who I think are the most awesome individuals in the world, to do any job they can do and not have it closed off to them. And I've actually got 4 kids, and I need them to get jobs because I'm not paying for them. But I started in a small farming community in the north of Scotland. My parents were farmers, and where I grew up, the valley we lived in was close to a military base, and these fighters would go down the valley, and I honestly would sit and stare at them open-mouthed and go, I want to do that, but I will never be able to do it. Pretty normal high school time. I liked sports, I liked science, I was curious. And then in my first year at university, in the town that I was in, I went by the recruiting office and I said, you know what, I'm going to go in. I'm going to take a chance, and if they say no, they say no. I walked in, I did the test, and somehow I got in, and I didn't expect it. I was the first person in my family who had joined the military. So anyway, joined the military. I treat every day as a new day. Right through flying training, when you're learning to be a pilot, there's a lot of pitfalls. Don't think too far, don't think it's a sprint, it's a marathon, and you're going to find that in your high school experiences as well, and when you get to college and when you start learning to fly. Keep going. But anyway, I got into the military. I flew fighters in the military. I served for 28 years on active duty. I had the privilege of coming to the United States, and I was an instructor at Miramar teaching on the F-18, and I got to inspire a new generation of Marine and Naval aviators, which I'm extremely proud of. At the end of my service, I decided to get out. My wife is active duty in the Army, and I want to support her. So the other thing I am is I'm a supporting spouse. So my wife, she goes out, we follow her, and we move every time she has to change her duty station, and that's part of being part of her life and supporting her military service. And I was fortunate enough to get hired by United Airlines, and it's the best decision I ever made. I'm extremely proud of being a captain of United Airlines. And then beyond that, I'm trying to inspire people to do aviation, whatever it might be, whether you're a pilot, flight attendant, a maintainer, you work above the wing or below the wing, they are all fantastic jobs. So I'm happy to answer any questions once we hear everyone else's stories. But I do not regret one day of my life in aviation. And actually I forgot, my first job in aviation, I was loading bags at a small regional airliner. So I was in the pit, getting hot and sweaty, and it was as close as I could get. So my one recommendation is, if you love flying or you love aviation, do the first job that you can do to get as close to it as you can, and then that is your first step in that journey towards getting to where you want to be. It's a pleasure to be here with this morning.
That was awesome. Good morning, everyone. I'm Lieutenant Commander Diallo Wallace. Can you hear me okay? All right, so let's just make sure that you can hear me okay. How many Army folks that we got out there? Anyone in the Army? No? Okay, well, we'll just do it right now. Go Navy, beat Army. I teach aerospace engineering at the United States Naval Academy, and it is quite an honor to do that in all the services. I am currently in the military. I'm a Navy reservist, and prior to this, I'm an educator at the K-12 space, and like you all, I had some interest of aviation, and I could tell you the exact time that it started for me, April 12th of '81, and I know some of you are like, man, is he that old? Yes, I am that old. There's just a little snow on the roof here. But that date was significant for me because it was where I saw Columbia of '81 launch, the first space shuttle launch. And at that point, I wanted to be one of two jobs. I either wanted to be a paleontologist or I wanted to be a truck driver. Kind of a vast range. Paleontologist, I didn't know dinosaurs were extinct. I just said, hey, we'll go find the bones and we'll figure out where the live ones are. And truck driver at that point, I figured, you know, their job from an 8-year-old's perspective is to drive around the city and honk the horn and make people smile. Sounds like a good job. But at that point, I saw Space Shuttle Columbia go up, and there were two gentlemen on that, and it was amazing to me. I could not believe and fathom something that looked like an airplane that had these rockets on it that were going vertical, and I remember asking my mother, where are they going? Oh, they're going to space. I was like, I couldn't believe it. And for that week, I watched that mission, and they came back and saw John Young and Robert Crippen get out of the space shuttle, and I was hooked. I was hooked. Now, I just wanted you guys to understand something. At that time, I was just an average kid that developed an above average dream. Because those were naval aviators, I decided I'm going to become a naval aviator. And I'm going to go get my master's degree or PhD in astronautics at the Naval Postgraduate School. And I'm going to become an astronaut like Alvin Drew. Well, 2 out of 3 ain't bad. Especially if you're a baseball fan. Those are pretty good stats. But now, as an educator, I take a lot of pride in developing future astronauts. And when I go in the classroom, that's my accountability. I look at my students, and I want you to understand something. The first person to step on Mars is in your age group. Okay, is in your age group. And I know we share this as educators, is that when I go in the classroom with the idea that Possibly I have the eyes of the first Mars walker looking at me that day. And I need to be accountable to them to instill all of the inspiration, all the knowledge and passion for that. So I don't want to stay up here too long. My story, like I said, it started out, it's funny when you were talking about doing the baggage. I started out at an FBO fueling airplanes. And I would walk 6 miles to do this job on a Sunday. And there's this old adage that if you hang around the barber shop long enough, you'll get a haircut. So the pilots, and you may not know this, but pilots have big egos. And they like to show off their airplanes, right? Well, I'm fueling the planes, and all the pilots who were coming in were like, hey, do you want to go for a ride? Hang around the barber shop, I'm gonna get a haircut. Started getting up some time and really wanted to, got more passion for it. I ended up going to space camp. I'm a big promoter of space camp. For those who are interested in space, I cannot say enough good things about that place. It transformed my life. You know, the one thing that all 4 of us will say, and our FAA brothers and sisters and everyone who's in aviation, it is a family. It is a shared passion about aeronautics, about space, but also something that is more incredible, it's about the connections. It's about the connections. And if this is a career field for you, there's more to this career field than just being pilots, navigators, there's air traffic controllers, there's airport managers, there's aviation logistics, there's so much more. And not to call it mascara, but you know, this field is just going to expand even more because now we're looking at commercial space. We're looking at this fusion between air and space. So the opportunities are there. But I will say this much, and I tell this to my midshipmen. It's the adage that I really try and instill and get them to realize is that a closed mouth does not get fed. So take advantage of today. Ask the questions, okay? Find out what's good about this industry. Find out what's not good about this industry. Find out what the opportunities are out there, okay? Because again, this is your time. We've achieved. We've achieved our things. Now what we're trying to do is turn around and help you all go after these dreams and passions that we had worked so hard at. You got to have the grit, you got to go after it, and you have to chase your dreams until they can't run anymore. Because once they stop running, they're no longer dreams. You achieved them, okay? So I'm not gonna stay up here too long, but again, I'm at the Naval Academy, open invitation. I'm there and I'm in the aerospace engineering department. If you wanna be an aerospace engineer, open invitation, come and we'll do the tour there and I'll show you the wind tunnels and everything else. And my teammate over here, Miss Yatana Massey, can you stand up real quick? She's our STEM outreach coordinator for the school, and she's undoubtedly one of my sheroes on the yard. So if you're interested in the academy or find out what opportunities are there, talk to her. It's a fantastic opportunity from this place. Point of pride that I have is who's graduated the most number of astronauts? Do anyone know what school? I'll give you a hint. Naval Academy. Naval Academy. You know, so if, hey, don't reinvent the wheel. We've got that program. If you want to be an astronaut, it's there. And I'm not going to steal Miss Massey's thunder, but it is a scholarship to the school, and it's an incredible opportunity. The leadership, the education, and the athletics. We measure and we build people up. I'm so honored to be a part of the investment in what we're doing there at the Naval Academy. But we'll have the Q&A, but that's a little bit about me. Like I said, my call sign's D-Man. Feel free to raise your hand and ask me questions.
Thank you guys for being here today and sharing your stories. I won't take up too much time either. My story is a lot similar to everyone up here, but I'm a local guy actually. I'm born and raised in Delaware, and I attended Delaware State University. I'm very excited to hear that we actually have a Del State acceptee over here.
All right.
To be in the aviation program. Let's give him a hand, please. So growing up, I was very blessed to have a mentor that was able to tell me how to get into aviation. We attended the same church. And so from very young, I joined OBAP. They're actually here today. Do you mind raising your hand over there? OBAP?
Captain Daniels.
Yes, that's OBAP. So OBAP stands for Organization of Black Aerospace Professionals. And so I would join the summer camps with them. There's one called ACE, Aviation Career Exploration. I did that for 3 to 4 years where we would come, we'd go to an airport like this, and the highlight of the camp was that we would go up in an airplane and fly. So ever since that's how I knew that I wanted to be a pilot, and that set the tone for me right then and there. So through OBAP, I did what's called the Solo Flight Academy, where you go on a camp again for 2 weeks, you train, and by the end of the camp, you should be able to fly one of these small airplanes out here solo. And that was what stamped it for me that I'm actually able to do this. Before it was just a dream, but that was like confirmation. You know, let's go.
Let's go.
Rare, you can
Let's
do this.
go.
So it was just a big confidence booster. So shortly after I did the Solo Flight Academy, that's when I enrolled into Delaware State University. During my time there, I ended up doing an internship with United, which is where I'm at now. And that's where I met the CEO, Captain Willie Daniels there, and that's when I joined Shades of Blue. As he said, aviation is a family, so you need situations and opportunities like that to network and to get opportunities. And that made all the difference for me to be able to make it to United Airlines later on in my career. So after I graduated Delaware State University, I flew for a regional carrier called Republic Airways. I spent 3 years there flying the Embraer 175. And then in 2021, I got hired at United Airlines, where I'm now flying the Boeing 787. I do international flying, so we do like Delhi, India, Tokyo, all over Europe.